when I was 6 years old, I never thought it would be a problem to find a career. You could find me every week at the end of my driveway watching the garbage men come from the end of the street. I would run. You could not keep me back. I would run to the end of my driveway and watch them hanging off the garbage truck, collecting all the trash, yelling, "Ho, go, ho!" And as they came down the street, my favorite part, I would have sold myself into bondage in order to pull that lever that smashes all the garbage together. It was the coolest thing. And you know what? Today, I saw a garbage truck today too, and I thought, man, I may have missed my calling. But somewhere between 6 years old and high school, I had to start from scratch. In high school, they did this kind of vocational interest test that I took. And I remember sitting through it, hot classroom, sweating. You know, this is my career that I'm going to find out about. I better take this seriously. I promptly forgot about the test. But about 3 months later, when the results came back, I'm sitting in a room with a guidance counselor, and there's 2 careers that they've matched me with. Bingo. This is going to work for me. The first career was something called an ombudsman. Now, this is an intelligent crowd, so I'm sure a lot of you know what ombudsman is. I had no idea. And you know what? Neither did my guidance counselor at the time. So I couldn't be an ombudsman. You know, and it turns out I think I would actually right now would be a good ombudsman, but that didn't happen. The other career, and I swear this is true. I couldn't make this up. My other career that was recommended for me was fire watcher. Another puzzler, I think, well, what does a fire watcher do? Like, well, shouldn't the person be like trying to put the fire out or something? And I guess as it was explained to me, is people who sit up kind of alone at the top of these tall towers in national parks and kind of look out for a fire. So needless to say, as soon as those results were in, I kind of forgot about that. Went to college, was an English major, so there's no careers in there. And after college, I realized I didn't know what I was going to do. So I just joined a bunch of friends and came to Washington, D.C. Now, when I started out, and of course I didn't have any money, so I had to find a job or two immediately. So I had a lot of weird jobs. Now I'm just going to tell you a couple, but if you want to find me afterwards, I can tell you a bunch more. But here is a sampling of some of the weird jobs I had when I first came to DC. I was a line stander. I was literally paid money to stand in line. Like at the Supreme Court, some like high-powered law firms would say, go show up at the Supreme Court and stand in line starting at 7 a.m. or actually 5 a.m. And then at 9 o'clock when the attorney comes and wants to get into the session, you'll switch places with him and he'll give you a check. Good job. You know, I got reading done. I was an English major. I got reading done. Not really much career advancement in that. Another job I had, this wasn't in DC, this was outside of DC, I was a roller coaster tester. This is a funny job because as a roller coaster tester, they put you on a roller coaster before the park opens, and they get you going, and they jam on the brakes, and you make sure the brakes work on the roller coaster. Again, I'm not looking at a long career of roller coaster testing. That job actually exists, and I would get paid overtime for that because I would have to show up early in the morning. Eventually, I got, as an English major, I got affiliated with a theater here in town, the Shakespeare Theater. Great theater, and I was doing data entry. You know, I thought this was the coolest thing because even though I was doing boring data entry during the day, I got to hang out with artists, I got to hang out with directors, I got to watch Shakespeare plays, and this was like a dream come true for me. So I was like a kid watching a garbage truck. at the Shakespeare Theater, I didn't want to keep doing data entry my whole life, so I started doing a little more things in the fundraising arena, and I really felt part of that theater, and it was very fun, and this was a great time, and some of my friends that I made during that time in my life are here tonight. It was super great. And as part of the theater, I wanted to do as much as I can, so I started volunteering for this program, the after-school program called the Southeast Project. And this is where our offices were, right over by what's now Eastern, like a really swanky Eastern Market, but it wasn't that swanky back then when our offices were there. And we would invite kids from the neighborhood to come after school and write a play. Now, this sounds kind of cool because they would write the play and then eventually it would be acted by real actors on a real Shakespeare theater stage. So that's kind of neat, but the process wasn't that glamorous. The kids would show up, and I was paired with this young, kind of chubby, dimpled boy named Marcus, and he would come and pretty much spent the whole time trying not to write the play, and I would try to get him to write the play, and I think by the end of the 4 months of it, he had about a page and a half, and it was about a kid who wanted to be a rapper, and finally Master P gave him the money, and he became a famous rapper, and see you later. Anyway, this was the life at the Shakespeare Theater, and it was really fun, and eventually I started getting higher and higher up the food chain at the Shakespeare Theater doing fundraising. The funny thing is, the higher I got up, the more money I was making, the less connected I started feeling to the art. I didn't really feel a part of the plays anymore. I actually didn't have time to go see the plays, and I started getting stressed about my job for the first time. So I was thinking, you know, there's got to be something else. So I changed jobs, and I changed jobs, and I realized asking people for money as a living is not really something I want to do. There's still time to change. Eventually, I was working at the American Film Institute, another great arts organization in the area, and I was raising money for Silver Docs. And again, I was not feeling as connected to documentary film as I wanted to be. And I remember being kind of depressed on the train on the way home. Somebody earlier was talking about their bus face. I guess I got kind of in the zone, and I had my bus face on, and I looked, and there was somebody standing over me. Looking down, and you know, it's a little startling. You're on public transportation. You don't really, think you're going to run into anybody. And I look up, and I see this man looking down at me. Big dude, dreadlocks, mustache, looking down at me, and I say, can I help you? And he says, Topher. I said, yeah, can I help you? And he says, it's me, it's Marcus from the Southeast Project. And I could have died right there. I said, oh my God. Marcus had grown up, he was big, he was friendly, but it wasn't someone I would have ever recognized unless he told me who he was. And he said, you know what? Topher, do you still have a copy of that play? And I thought, what? And they said, I had so much fun doing that. I can't believe, if you could get a copy of that play, I would be so happy. And I thought to myself right there, if I could do this for a living instead of as a hobby, that's something I should do. So I vowed, as soon as Marcus and I chatted on the metro all the way down to his job, and as soon as I got off the train, I went home and I applied to grad school for education, and that's how I became a teacher.